good, what is today? Wednesday, everybody. I know, we forget what day it is in this time of quarantine, right? I'm Mark Despotakis back with you today, and we have another special guest with us, Suzanne Perrino. She is the Senior Vice President of Learning and Community Engagement at the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra. Suzanne, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So as we know, one of the major impacts of the quarantine has been that we've all had to stay home. We haven't been able to go to sports. We haven't been able to go to the movies. We haven't been able to go to arts events. I haven't been able to go to the symphony on Friday nights like I usually enjoy because that obviously large groups can't get together. So the symphony definitely was impacted by that. And the symphony has created this thing called Extraordinary Measures. And I just love this title. Can you talk to us a little bit how the symphony as a whole has reacted in the time of COVID-19 and the quarantine?
Sure. Well, our last live activity was on March 13th at City of Asylum. We had one of our wonderful violinists who came in from London, who was going to make her premiere with the Pittsburgh Symphony, Alina Imbraganova. And she is just a wonderful player, and we featured her at the City of Asylum. And then that night we found out that the weekend's concerts were being canceled, and it was just it was so hard because, you know, she was so excited about making her premiere. And the next day we had a Children's Hospital memorial service, which was also canceled due to COVID-19. So immediately we went into this kind of alternative, how do we deliver content when you don't have an orchestra on stage? So we launched the Extraordinary Measures, let's see, I think it was March 22nd we launched. And it is in 4 different areas because what we also had to cancel was a Fiddlesticks concert. And so we said, how do we extend programming that we're already doing virtually? Are there programs that we can extend online that we can still keep the integrity of, but we can offer to a broader audience and deliver virtually? So we have the Friday night concerts, which are previously recorded video and audio concerts that we surround with enhanced introductions, program notes, materials to help people put in context that concert and the inspiration for it and that sort of thing. And those have been received really, really well. Every Friday night we're doing that. We also have what we call bright spots. And the bright spots are literally that, trying to give people some bright spot feeling, healing video of a short piece that a musician plays from their home to just give you a lift that day. And so we immediately launched with 5 days a week of these short bright spots in the morning. And again, we saw just people writing in and calling and saying, thank you so much. Because as you started the podcast, you said, what day is this? And literally that's what we're going through, is what day is this? And where am I in this bigger circle of community? And how do I connect with people? And how do I continue some normalcy and structure in my day? And if you can count on opening up with some inspirational music in the morning, that was one of our thought processes in there. And then the other area of the Extraordinary Measures is the education area. So we did extend the Fiddlesticks concerts, the family concerts, virtually into an area that we call Make Time for Music with Fiddlesticks. What we were hearing, you know, when you turn on the TV right after everything started canceling with the schools, especially in Pennsylvania, we would see like the Today Show, and they would talk about the structure and how they're structuring their kids' days and how they're trying to teach their kids, as well as, you know, go on air with the weather, you know, in the morning in their basements. And we kept getting frustrated that no one was making time for music in their structured day. And we said, okay, so we've got this platform. Let's just go out and say, make time for music every day.
Love it.
So we launched that for the family audience. And what we did is we had videos on Monday for our musical Mondays. And then on Wednesday, we had an activity, because within the Fiddlesticks family series concept It's learning through various ways in the pre-concert rooms, whether it's singing along or making a craft or reading a story or listening to a musician or getting up close and trying a violin yourself, and then going into the concert and using all that background context to participate in the concert musically. It mimicked that structure. And so families were used to that. So we said, come on in. And what we did differently is that we went to our partners who would usually participate with us in the pre-concerts, and we said, can we launch a concert that would have a virtual pre-concert activity room as well as some music? And we had FIPS jump on, we had the Children's Museum jump on, we had Slippery Rock University Music Department jump on. So all these different organizations were coming together for this Fiddlesticks Online. We've had Attack Theater. Lucas Richmond is going to talk about composing music next week. This last week, we did a whole wellness week with the music therapists at Children's Hospital. And so they were talking about breathing, and they were using animals. They're like, okay, snake breathing is next, and cat breathing is next. And they led you through all these different types of breathing to try to center yourself during this time. This week is Kindness Week, and I can talk about that in a minute, but Fiddlesticks launched his Kindness for 143 Day, which will happen on Friday. And then the other part of the education area is practice, practice, practice. So this is aimed at middle school and high school instrumentalists. And this idea of you don't have your student ensemble, you may not have lessons, you may not have ongoing music activity online with your school, but that's no excuse not to practice and continue learning your instrument during this time. So we have musicians from the Pittsburgh Symphony who are making probably 1 to 5 minute, they're a little different videos, each one is different, around specific topics to keep kids interested in practicing. And so it could be bow technique one week, it could be breathing. We offer these on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Breathing techniques, how to get through 16th note passages, how to memorize pieces, all different types of activities around practicing. So those are the kind of big umbrella programs within the Extraordinary Measures. Then they're all on our website.
Yeah, and the content is just incredible. I mean, I'm blown away by the amount of content that you've put out. I mean, I like how you've hit each sector. So the Friday night thing is for the folks who like want to sit down and watch the concert, and I love the context piece. But I really love that the service part that you've put in of the Fiddlesticks piece, but the practice part is. I just love that, and I just love seeing all of the content that's coming out on social media from the symphony, and then even from the musicians page of the symphony. I mean, just fantastic stuff. And so kudos certainly to you and the whole team there for reacting very quickly, because none of us knew how to react, and you jumped on very quickly and certainly did a lot. And I think it is a great service.
Thank you. Yeah.
And we'll link to all of those for sure. And we'll also link to the page, the donation page, because I think it's really important for folks to realize that, I mean, folks going to a concert is what sustains, a major part of what sustains a symphony orchestra. Sure. And that piece is gone. So we'll certainly link to that too. So one of the things that you also get to do is talk to educators a lot. And so we're just curious what you're hearing out there from those you're talking to. What's reality been like for them, the ones you've been talking to in this COVID-19 way of teaching right now?
Sure. Yeah, we've talked to community folks, we've talked to elementary, early childhood, and high school educators, and we're seeing a lot of common themes across districts. We're seeing a lot of inequities in access. So we have districts that are pretty much trying to adapt by sending packets home as well as online. We have districts that closed so fast that students weren't able to pick up their instruments before they left home, so they're still in the band room at schools. We have different districts that are doing regular classes or office hours for instrumental students. But then we also have districts that have been told not to do that because of the technology and inequities, and the fact that not every student would have access to that class. So across the board, there's not a huge amount of support for really robust online instruction in the performance areas, with a few exceptions in some districts, which is concerning to me because, you know, we worry about this scaffolding of having kids starting instruments and then getting excited about moving to the next level and being in ensembles and having that tribe, that social outlet, and none of that is happening right now. And so we're really worried that kids are losing interest in their instruments, and that we'll see that, you know, down the line in middle school ensembles and high school ensembles pretty quickly. And so we're trying to figure out how to stop that. And we approach summer, which is even a bigger complication. And how do you keep that motivation going? How do you keep kids engaged? And I think, you know, educators are just trying so hard because there's so much pressure put on them from so many different populations right now. So we look for however we can help. You know, how can we support you? What can we do? Whether it's music or non-music at the core. We have all different types of demographic groups that we work with. So we're constantly going back and forth as to what would be helpful for this group might not be helpful for this group. So you have to listen, you have to have the conversations, you have to listen to the what's not so fun listening sometimes, and trying to address issues head on and being really honest and transparent about what you're trying to do.
And have that ability to pivot. And I think you guys have shown that you are willing to do that. Because you've pivoted a symphony orchestra, and you've kind of pivoted what your public face of that is, and you've done it. I mean, like I said, I really think you've done it so well in the last couple of months. So looking ahead, I tell everybody this: there's no right or wrong answer to this, because nobody knows what the fall is going to look like, but everybody's thinking and planning ahead. I'm curious, you know, what is the symphony thinking ahead as far as, you know, the actual symphony, but then this education component that you all do as well? What are your thoughts on how this moves ahead?
Yeah, I really think that in some ways that the online programming has been received so well that it will become somewhat of an expectation going forward in whatever sector you're in. Sure. So it's not going to be just we're performing a concert, but what happens online leading up to it? What are the behind the scenes videos? Maybe what happens at intermission to get you behind the scenes, kind of like the Met Opera did when they went into movie theaters. You got to see what was happening, you know, at intermission, and that was really fun. I think there is going to be a growing expectation for the enhanced virtual experience as well as the in-person live experience. What we're hearing from educators is they don't know what's ahead, right. But that this hybrid approach is most likely going to stay in the structure. We heard jokes about, well, there's never going to be a snow day again because it'll just be online instruction day or flexible instruction day, you know, which is true. Assuming that everyone has access to technology. There is no excuse anymore.
Right, that's true.
But I do think for the orchestra that we're going to see more of a hybrid approach that is going to have online, virtual, maybe limited access, broad access to all different types of programming. And I believe that going forward, we'll see a lot more collaboration across different ensembles, different disciplines, just trying to work together, because if we're going into phase 2 and a phase 3, we're going to have, as you say, a lot of financial challenges that are going to need to be addressed, and the best way to do that is to come together and kind of share resources and share learning and approach this collaboratively. So if there are any good things that came out of it, I think it stretched all of us, and it forced us to address an area that maybe we were just doing a little bit on the side. And then it also forced us to have conversations, those hard conversations, and maybe new conversations around innovation and reach and access.
Right. And I think you're absolutely right. It's, they always say, you know, that when you come to a challenge, it's how you react to it. It's not the challenge that's the challenge. It's how you're reacting to it.
Right.
I can tell you, I for one cannot wait to be back in my seat at Heinz Hall on Friday nights, because while these concerts are great, there's still nothing like being in that great hall
Yeah.
and hearing, you know, really what is, I feel, an underappreciated gem in Western Pennsylvania. I mean, this truly is a world-class orchestra. I know they've had to cancel an overseas tour as part of all of this. I mean, people need to realize this is a truly world-class orchestra that truly travels the world. I mean, there's some fantastic musicians.
Yes, absolutely. And that's, I think, what people are saying they miss the most, is actually being in the hall, feeling the power of the music, the intensity, the artistry, and, you know, not connecting to that. It really does feed the soul, as they say.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I can't wait to get back either.
Well, and I'll see you there for sure.
Right.
We will link to everything, all of these great resources, and folks out there, especially if you can spare something, please donate to the great work that the symphony is doing. We'll have all those links on there. Suzanne, thank you so much for joining us, taking a little bit of time to discuss what the symphony is doing. And for the rest of you, look forward to those resources, and we will see you next time.
Thanks so much.